It's cool and green. Royal we culture we clean.
Go and see if you can hear anything.
Something that them lean with transparency from the agency of the I supreme. Cosmic intuition and initiation from within. I'm another angel and on a wing like pigeon. Concept I accept of I origin. Representing humanity that they call breaching. Man without a woman is like a house without kitchen. People without them roots is like plants for edging. Everything perish without oxygen. Them a vibration, them a waves, and them a sound pan rhythm. Hey! Time for the lions. Tell them one story. Listen to the lion voice, yeah? Up.
What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it takes the dust. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Ketis Oyonde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the Lion's Voice.
Yeah, man. Greetings, Rastafari, Haile Emperor, the King Selassie, the first, the perfect balance, Empress Menin. This is first man for Rastafari Indigenous Village, recognizing, accepting, promoting Lion Voice. Yes, the voice of Rastafari, speaking about Rastafari, educating Rastafari, preserving, protecting Rastafari. Give thanks.
Aye, Rastafari, mighty.
The fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes. Wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega, representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Rastafari, live it. Hey, the lion's voice, Rastafari.
Yes, job people, this is Michael Shamai representing. I will say, hear the lion voice, saying it is time for the lions and the lionesses to tell their own story. King David killed Goliath with a stone, we original dread.
I will never stop, hail the Most High, and I will never stop, call Rastafari. Blessed love, this is Kushite representing for the Lion's Voice. We are here to tell our own story, Rastafari.
Blessed love, this is Rashala representing for the Lion's Voice, saying, yeah man, keep it locked right there, sir. On to Zion we go. Lion voice don't move slow, no. Rastafari rules and reigns, and we're going where the blessings flow. Keep it locked right there, sir. Saying, Rashala said that. Lion's voice.
Amina, the time has come for the lioness to tell our own story. No surrender, no retreat, we are Jaja soldier. Rougher than the streets, tougher than a boulder. Bigging up Lion's Voice. Now put it. I Jollifer said that.
Yo, blazing fire. Yeah, man, this is Racindio out of Belize. And the time has come for the lions to tell our own story. Right? Yeah, man. We blaze fire, burning the wicked and the dirty vampire. Yeah, man, Racindio said that. Blazing fire. Lion boy.
Lion voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion voice.
Jano, I'm so hungry, bro. I haven't eaten all day. Like, my head started to hurt me too. Like, what now could I eat right now?
What about a city samosa? Get your samosa, a fusion of Indian, Jamaican, and African culture. City samosas, the best samosas in the city.
The biggest reggae cultural event, Rebel Salute,
is finally coming to the United States.
Rebel Salute 2025, Sunday, September 28th.
With live performances by Tony Rebel,
Maxi Priest,
Queen Africa, Mikey Spice, Louis Culture, Michael Rose,
Chalice,
Lux, Rebel Clan, and more Florida-based acts.
Special dope plate showcase by Dynamic.
Taking place at the Miramar Regional Park in Miramar, Florida.
Doors open 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Get your tickets now at RebelSaluteUSA.com.
Yeah. And it's Selassie the first, the Almighty. When there are set thrones of judgment to judgment, thrones of the house of the great King David, I shall pray for the peace of Ethiopia and Africa. Yeah. Well, every night, argument, morning come, sorry about an argument. No make your heart get hard like some sexy men. Black woman, got to exercise patience. Every night, argument, morning come, sorry about an argument. No make your heart get hard like some sexy men. Black man, got to exercise patience. Got to change the frequency. Seems like we disagree frequently. Mama shopping spree interfere with school fee. Daddy they a dance a floss for Hennessy. Every night them fight mostly over money. Who gonna stand up fight for the family? Haile, Selassie, might of the Trinity. Gone with his queen with a baby in her belly. Still, every night, argument, morning come. Sorry about a argument. Now make your heart get hard like some sexy men. Black woman, got to exercise patience. Every night, argument, morning come. Sorry about a argument. Now make your heart get hard like some sexy men. Black man, got to exercise patience. There's no need to raise your voice. Let's live in a one harmony. Together we can make that choice to live as one family. And please don't disturb the children's sleep. Be careful what you say, remember words cut deep. Sometimes it's better if you just sit in silence. Time to end this cycle of violence. Well then, every night, argument, morning come. Sorry about a argument. Now make your heart get hard like some sexy men. Black woman, got to exercise patience. Every night, argument, morning come. Sorry about a argument. Now make your heart get hard like some sexy men. Black
hear? Can you hear?
All right. Yeah, them can hear right now. All right, all right. We're trying to get the setup dialed in. We're just gonna ask a little patience over the next few episodes as we work out the sound challenges, different aspects. But just know that we're committed to upgrading the standard. All right, make we start fresh. Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie, the first. Glory and honor in the name of his chosen queen, Empress Wazira Menen. My name is Kwasi Bonsu, aka the Dejazmatch Kwasi, aka Ras Kwasi, aka the Reading Ras, aka the Pan-African Happy Man, creative industry attorney. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an actionist, and right now I am the host of Lion Voice Live. Welcome to Lion Voice Live, and welcome to the Lion Voice Network, where the lions are telling our own story. Today episode, we are talking about Ethiopia. My timeline, my algorithm has been flooded with news about Ethiopia, the Grand Renaissance, Ethiopia Renaissance Dam, the G.E.R.D Dam. I've been seeing a lot about the transformation of Addis Ababa. So we're going to be going through some videos on this. We're going to be commenting on some videos, watching some videos. We may have a special guest join us as well. But today is all about Ethiopia. Because one thing that's missing from most of the coverage is the foundation that was set by His Imperial Majesty. So we want to add in some of that context as we look at some of these videos and really go into the new flower, the blooming, you know what I mean? Because there's all these critiques about what His Majesty do, you know what I mean? But the proof is in the unfolding. Even with millions of dollars pumped into Ethiopia to fund tribalism, to split Ethiopia into pieces, even trying to enshrine it in a constitutional framework, succession is in the constitution that come after His Majesty time. And they still are having difficulty tearing Ethiopia apart because the highest of himself has established her. The interweaving, you know what I mean, of the educational system, the institutions are what holds Ethiopia together, and they're solid institutions. We're talking about the university, we're talking about the agricultural college, we're talking about the military college, we're talking about all of the different institutions, Ethiopia Airline, you know what I mean? Everything is stitched into a fabric that holds Ethiopia together. The OAU now, the African Union headquarters, Economic Commission for Africa, all of these international agencies. You have many, all of the African countries with their embassies in Addis Ababa. So just like I'm in Washington, D.C., Addis Ababa would be the correlation
on the continent in terms of the representation from all the states, all of the not just the states, but then you have many global countries with their embassies there. Cutting Edge, Ethiopia, founding member of the United Nations. We want to talk about that. Ethiopia is also a founding member of the Non-Aligned movement that took place in Bandung in the 1950s. We want to talk about that. Ethiopia now is also one of the members of BRICS. We've talked about BRICS on this platform, the world war that's currently waging between G7 powers and the former colonial powers, including South Korea and Japan, and the global South led by the BRICS bloc. And Ethiopia was added as an official member of BRICS along with Egypt, Egypt, Ethiopia, and South Africa being the only African members of that bloc, official members. Nigeria has joined as a partner, and Uganda, and I think a couple others. We can go into that if needs be. Your comment section, your comments also help to guide the reasoning. So put in the comment section, feel free to comment as we have this reasoning. Today, we're going into Ethiopia. We're going into the Grand Renaissance Dam. We're going to be looking at some of the content creators' content today. And I'm going to comment and just give I assessment. But let me know in the comments, how do I sound? Can you hear Iman clearly? Let me know how we look. We upgrade to HD 4K. To continue to invest in the quality. Big up to the Lion Pride and Patreon for making it possible. No more web camera, laptop camera, where we got professional camera lens and then something there. Due to the monthly contribution of the Lion Pride and Patreon. Again, we are building in front of the world. We want to show the people the power of collective security. And today, the first thing we're going to look at is an example of collective security. And this is when we talk about programming. This program in the Ethiopian people, they don't even know it by His Imperial Majesty. One of the miraculous things that we're going to hear about the Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam is that it was completely funded by Ethiopians. In the diaspora, Ethiopians at home, they sold bonds. No outside World Bank, IMF, none of that involved because of the geopolitics and Egypt, Egypt being one of the biggest recipients of American military aid. I think only Israel gets more military aid than Egypt, And so, the politics, Egypt more lean to the G7 type of vibration, So Ethiopia paid entirely through the principle of collective security. Again, we stress on this platform that the power has always and always will be with the people. The Almighty dwells within the hearts of I and I. So by coming together, we manifest the power, the divine power of the Almighty. Our elders knew this, that's why they coined the term I and I, the building of the language, that the power is in I and I. We don't have to look outside the I and I family. And this Grand G.E.R.D dam is a great example. So I'm not even going to itch too long because we have about 3 different videos that we want to watch and get into. So we're going to go through. Okay. Give thanks, Ron, giving me some feed forward on the. We're going to dial in the lighting. He says glaring a bit. Let me fix up the thing a little bit. Always stay. Better. We're taking our time, family. You know that this is not a channel where we rush things. We take our time. We do what we're going to do. We're going to fix up the mic. We're going to fix up everything, but we start with the image. Got the 4K. We finally figure out how to deal with it. So we're gonna start there, but everything is gonna continue to upgrade. You know what I mean? All right. So let's look at this first video here, and we're going to be looking at a channel called I believe is let me big up the content creator, Africa Today. They have 433,000 followers, so a big channel, and the video is titled 5 billion dam that could change Africa's map forever. We're going to be using all of these videos under the doctrine of fair use, because we're going to be commenting on them and adding our own spin and our own context. So we're going to start with this one, and then we're going to go forward.
What if I told you that right now, as you are watching this, a single decision made in the highlands of Ethiopia could determine whether 105 million Egyptians have water to drink tomorrow? And what if I told you that this isn't a distant possibility? It's happening right now. September 9th, 2020. What if I told you that right now, as you are watching this, a single decision made in the highlands of Ethiopia could determine whether 105 million Egyptians have water to drink?
Hold on there. Let's try again. All right, hold on there. We're working it out.
Tomorrow.
All right, here we go.
This is a distant possibility happening right now. September 9th, 2025, Ethiopia just flipped the switch that changed the balance of power in Africa forever. Now, sometimes when I talk about changing in the balance of power of Africa, some people think that is an exaggeration. Now, by the end of this video, you will see that it's not an exaggeration, and you'll find out why exactly I used that phrase. Because this is a game changer in Africa. Here's what nobody's really talking about. This isn't really about a dam. This is about rewriting 150 years of African history, and the most powerful man in the world just threatened to blow it up.
Who's coming in the driveway?
I've been covering African geopolitics for years, and I thought I understood the game. Big powers make the rules, smaller countries follow them. Simple, right? Then Ethiopia did something that shouldn't be possible in 2025. They built a $5 billion mega project without borrowing single dollar from the World Bank, without the IMF breathing down their necks, without China signing the checks. Think about that for a second and name me one African country that has pulled off something like that in your lifetime. I will wait. Exactly, because it doesn't happen, except Ethiopia just did it. And that's where our story really begins. Picture this, it's 1929, your great-grandpa
So this is the part I wanted
Parents
to
are probably
pause right
not
here,
even
because
born.
we're talking about the 1930s, and they give the Egyptian side of the saga, you know, but they don't mention His Majesty, you know, because in 1930 His Majesty had contracted a U.S. company, to go and to do some surveying, and that work was interrupted by the war. We're gonna watch a little clip that talks about His Majesty as well, but I wanted to just take note of that.
Yet, the British Empire is still running half of Africa like their personal backyard, and they signed a treaty that says Egypt gets to control the Nile River forever. Now, here is the crazy part. Ethiopia, the country where 85% of the Nile's water comes from, wasn't even invited in that meeting. They were literally deciding the fate of Ethiopia's water without Ethiopia in the room. It's like your neighbors having a meeting about your backyard fence while you are at work, then telling you you can't use your own garden anymore. But here is what I found that blew my mind. Egypt has their own massive dam on the Nile River that was built since the 1970s. The Aswan High Dam, it's been controlling Nile waters for over 50 years. So let me get this straight. Egypt can build dams on the Nile, but when Ethiopia wants to build one dam on their own territory, suddenly it becomes a question of regional stability. You're starting to see the game here. But here's where Ethiopia played chess while everyone else was playing checkers. Remember, this is the country that most people associated with famines from the 1980s, and they just built the largest hydroelectric dam in Africa, self-funded. Do you know how they did it? Funds, diaspora contributions, community fundraising, teachers, farmers, taxi drivers, regular people buying bonds to fund this project. The Ethiopian diaspora in America, in Europe, in Asia, sending money home, not for families, but for a dam they would probably never see. This is a country that said, we are going to build our future ourselves, and they actually did it. Now, before you think this is just some feel-good African success story, let me tell you about the phone call that changed everything.
Rapid development.
October 2020, Donald Trump is on a call with Sudan's Prime Minister and Israel Prime Minister. Official White House call on record. And he says,
it's a very dangerous situation because Egypt is not going to be able to live that way. And they'll end up blowing up the dam. And I said it, and I say it loud and clear. They'll blow up that dam, and they have to do something.
Think about what just happened there. The President of the United States on an official call suggesting that Egypt should militarily attack Ethiopia's dam. But it gets worse. Trump then gets aid to Ethiopia. Hundreds of millions in aid gone because Ethiopia won't stop building their dam. Now, here is the question that kept me up at night researching this. Why would an American president threaten a sovereign African nation over infrastructure built with their own money on their own land? The answer isn't what you think.
I'm just going to make it run and then we'll comment about it after the seal.
See, there is an African proverb. I use it very often on this channel because it really applies to many African geopolitical situations. I want you to really say it with me. When the roots of a tree begin to decay, it spreads death to the branches. The root here isn't really about water. It's about control. For 150 years, the global power structure has depended on Africa being the supplier, never the controller. We mine the gold, they set the price. We grow the coffee, they decide
Man
what we
talk
get
like he's a
paid.
Rastafari brethren, though,
Egypt's
man, show
historical
the
water
idea
rights,
how
that's
the
the same
continent a move
playbook.
right now.
Ethiopia supplies 85% of the Nile's water, but Egypt gets to decide how much Ethiopia can use. But what happens when the supplier says, actually, we are going to decide for ourselves? That's when presidents start talking about blowing things up. But here's what nobody expected.
So Bridge is already really good at the wallet and all the everyday carry stuff, but I was surprised with how much they were able to.
September 9th, 2025, the dam opens, and guess who shows up to the party? Kenya's president, Somalia's president, leaders from across
I'm not
Africa.
gonna play the
But
entire
Egypt
video
and
behind them
Sudan,
can watch
they
it, but I just
boycotted
want
completely.
to set the table.
Now, here's what's fascinating about that choice. While Egypt was complaining to the UN Security Council, Kenya was signing electricity import deals with Ethiopia. Tanzania was negotiating power-sharing agreements. The diaspora was celebrating. African Twitter was calling it Wakanda in real life. But in Cairo, they were calculating how many crops might fail if water level drops even by 5%. The Africans celebrating self-determination, or the Egyptians fearing for their survival? What do you think? Because the answer determines what happens next.
I'm gonna stop it right here. You can go and watch it at the Africa Today, again, powerful platform. Africa Today on YouTube. I really don't watch cable TV. You know, we watch the internet. A lot of Pan-African channels out there. If you search for them, this one have over 400,000. So obviously very well supported channel. They're doing powerful work. The Bridget, I love how he break down things. But this is just, again, a sign of the times. You know what I mean? You can see how they were talking about Egypt, Sudan. These countries have been historically used, you know what I mean, by outside powers. In the case of Sudan, in them time, then the Ottoman Empire, the British Empire. Same with Egypt, the British Empire. You know, these were vassal states, heavily taken over. So they've always had that animosity with their root country, which would be Ethiopia, which contributes most of the waters of the Nile. So very important, you know what I mean? Okay. And big up Ram, you know what I mean, in the comments. Big up BI helping us. If you're just joining us, we're using a new setup. I'm not streaming directly through the laptop. We're streaming. We have a new camera that we purchased with the Lion Pride and Patreon support. And we're just trying to get it dialed in. The microphone not working right now. So we got a new mic set too. Everything, you know what I mean? So we're the next few episodes will be just calibrating and getting everything dialed in. But it's an upgrade, you know what I mean? We're going in, we're going to finish the Babylon year strong, and we're going to start the Ethiopia New Year strong, you know what I mean? Both accounts, we're getting ready for fire. We're getting ready to celebrate our 4th Earth Strong for the channel, October 4th. We've been 4 years posting consistently since 2021. And we're going to start the celebration on October 4th. It's going to go for the entire month of October. We won't be posting any new content. We're going to do a retrospective of the 4 years. I will be traveling So for safety reasons, I won't be posting where I'm traveling, but we'll have a retrospective, and then when we come forward, we'll reveal where we travel, and we'll be flooding the place with content from on the road. You know what I mean? The Lion Voice vlog returns. When we're underground, we're going to be trying to reason with ones, capture testimonies, and some historic things are happening. I will be there as a witness. So we'll be bringing that to the global family. But for the month of October, we will be, again, celebrating, starting with the first episode ever posted. So we're going to show all of the mistakes. Just like tonight is one of those nights where a whole heap of things going all kind of way, but we do it intentionally. Why? First of all, I'm alone today. My queen is not able to really help with the production, so I'll figure it out myself tonight. Big up to the queen, our producer. And the other part is that progress, nothing stays the same. You know what I mean? Everything that's building is going to develop, and failure, mistakes is part of the process. We want to show our young brethren and our family out there, don't fear failure, don't fear mistakes. Part of the process, you know what I mean? And it's going to get better, and it's going to continue to grow. So, family, we are talking about Ethiopia. Big up Johnny Johnson, big up Ross Roots, Lion Pride, in the chat. Never Levi, give thanks, family, for the coming in tonight. We're talking about Ethiopia, the rapid development. We're going to watch some videos. That one's the longest one. We're going to watch some shorter videos about the dam, what's happening. We're also talking about the rapid transformation that's taking place in Ethiopia. There's a lot of development in Addis Ababa. Addis Ababa has been cleaning up the slums, turning Addis into a model city, the new flower, you know what I mean? And we talk about in 1892, Addis Ababa was established by Empress Taitu. And of course, the new flower becomes the city of the great coronation of His Majesty, World History City, the palace, all these things, and the highest of himself shall establish I and I, becomes the de facto capital for the continent of Africa, of a united Africa, through the work of Ketema Yefudo. And if you have not seen the interview we've been doing with his son, Mokonin Ketema, please, family, go and watch. We released the second clip. The second clip, I didn't see the interest where the first clip had, so please go watch second clip where he's talking about his father. We're going to release our third clip probably Monday, so stay tuned for that, and the full episode will come in the strong same way. So please stay tuned. We're getting ready to drop the Johnny Johnson episode as well, so stay tuned, family. But all of these things, you know what I mean, the great city rising, this is prophecy revealing. So when we look at these videos and see the flower blooming, even in the midst of a civil war, that took place, that is still bubbling, even in the midst of the division, the programming put in place by Kadamawi Haile Selassie I, the inexorable, you know what I mean, it said the tide that's sweeping Africa cannot be stayed. No force on earth is great enough to halt or reverse the trend. Its march is as relentless and inexorable as the passage of time. That's what His Majesty said. And we see it happening no matter what sabotage they put in the way. Ethiopia in particular, which is the second most populous country after Nigeria, continues to develop rapidly. And again, I named off all of the first. And these youths, which, if you talk to Malez, if you talk to Abiy, all of these prime ministers, they might not have the greatest things. I think they would acknowledge the work of His Majesty, but they are all the fruits and products, like him or not, whether they like him or not, they are all the fruits and the product of the education system the institutions that were put in place. The G.E.R.D Dam, and you'll hear it in the next video that we play. The G.E.R.D Dam is in the same place that was surveyed and laid out, one of the sites, by His Majesty in the 1950s. So after the sabotage that took place in the 1930s, where His Majesty had an American company come and do some surveying and thing, and they didn't fulfill the contract, His Majesty took them to court. After the war, now in the 50s and 60s, this work was resumed. So this development that you see in Addis Ababa, this G.E.R.D Dam, several other projects, these were all from Haile Selassie time, and again, they're being fulfilled, and we are the generation of them that is seeing all of this play out, you know what I mean? So I'm going to take time, and we're going to watch this second video where it talks about His Majesty, and hold on, not this one, let me stop that there. That's the next one we're going to see. Okay. All right, let's start here. All right.
Ethiopia's story is being rewritten by the strength of its river and the resolve of its people. The dream of damming the Blue Nile began in the mid-20th century under Emperor Haile Selassie. He envisioned a modern Ethiopia powered by electricity, with the Blue Nile as its engine. American engineers surveyed the river in the 1950s and 60s, identifying the very site where the G.E.R.D now stands. The original border dam was designed to transform Ethiopia's economy and export power to neighbors. But political instability and lack of funding stalled the dream. International financiers hesitated, wary of the region's complex geopolitics. Internal strife and regional conflicts consumed the emperor's government. The blueprints were shelved, and the vision deferred as Ethiopia entered a period of upheaval. Yet, the groundwork was laid. The idea of harnessing the Nile's power was planted. The dream survived in archives and in the hopes of future generations. The seeds of a modern Ethiopia waited for the right moment to grow. The vision was never forgotten, only postponed. The stage was set for a new chapter.
Let me just pause right there. So you see the plans that His Majesty laid were put down, they were postponed, and again, where did this come from? It was external funding that led to the uprising in Ethiopia, the upheaval in Ethiopia. We're not going to call names, but if you dig deep, you will see where the trouble went to. We'll probably deal with it in some future episodes, but look at 1973 in particular, with the expulsion of the Israeli ambassadors, cutting ties with Israel. America, the West, turned their back on Ethiopia at that point, shutting down the military base, propaganda campaign that came from the BBC about the famine. All of these things were in quick conjunction. So you do your conclusion after looking at all the facts, who was behind the upheaval, the delay, the international financiers. At that time, Ethiopia didn't have this broad diaspora and all of these trained cadres. This is after a few generations that Ethiopia has enough people employed and working that can now contribute to the building of the dam. So all these things had to happen at the right time. And again, this is His Majesty setting the foundation. Let's just listen to the last little part.
The fall of Emperor Haile Selassie in 1974 ushered in the DERG, a military junta that plunged Ethiopia into chaos. The DERG inherited the dam plans, but civil war, famine, and repression took precedence. Resources were drained by conflict, leaving no room for ambitious projects. International support vanished as Ethiopia became isolated and embroiled in Cold War politics. The 1980s famine shifted focus from development to survival. The dream of the Blue Nile Dam faded into the background, a casualty of lost decades. Yet the vision endured, preserved in archives and in the minds of engineers. The plan survived dormant, waiting for peace and stability. The era highlighted the cost of division and isolation. Only with the Derg's fall in 1991 could Ethiopia hope to revive its ambitions. The lesson was clear. Unity and stability were prerequisites for progress. The dream of the dam was battered.
I want to touch on that. He says it was clear unity and stability are the keys for progress. His Majesty said these things, you know what I mean? All of these things, when we talk about give us the teachings of His Majesty, these are things that you cannot go around, you know what I mean? And this is what the world is now coming to. This whole revolution that's happening with the global South claiming their resources, standing up to the former colonial powers. These were the things His Majesty was advocating for, but the time had not yet come. And this is why, family, we are here rising up Rastafari Independent Non-Aligned Media in this time, because we said we couldn't be on the sideline as Rastafari when we chanted these things, when we inherited this legacy from our divine father, and now it come and we're silent and we don't have no capital, we can't contribute to the building of Zion on earth. That not sound right to I. So we had to manifest as we are manifesting now, all of the different components. And again, give thanks to everyone who has patience. I know the sound is not 100% today. Visuals, we're working on them, getting it better. If you're just joining us, we're coming with the Lion Pride and Patreon camera today. You know what I mean? We in 4K HD. We have to get the lighting and everything together. But you know what I mean? We're making progress, and we are investing forward into the platform. One of the things I tell my clients, content creators, I do consultations, is you have to invest. You know what I mean? Don't take the money that you make and you floss with it. No, invest forward into the platform, get better. There's a growth time. The time will come when you will be able to afford the niceties. But especially in the early days, you know you have something great. We know we have something great. Over 54,000. We're about to hit 55,000 probably by Monday subscribers. And the last 5,000, you know, we hit 50,000 August 28th. We're at September 20th, and we've done almost 5,000 subscribers. So it's accelerating the growth. The time is now to invest. You know, we talk with our brethren Ras Pachu about the power of now, self-awareness. The time is now. So if you're watching this and you're seeing what we're going through, I hope it gives the item strength to start whatever project you have in your brain that you're waiting for down the line. Start where you are. We have so many tools right now, AI, everything. The AI, you can ask it will give you a game plan. You know what I mean? There's no excuse right now, family. Make with us do what we're doing and rise and become who we were destined to be. All right, let me just seal up this and then we continue.
But not broken. Ethiopia's future would depend on learning from its turbulent past. With the rise of Prime Minister Meles Zenawi in the 1990s, Ethiopia's dam dream was reborn. Meles saw the G.E.R.D as a symbol of national renaissance and self-reliance. Knowing international lenders would balk, he turned to the Ethiopian people for funding. In 2011, the G.E.R.D was launched as a national movement, financed by citizens buying bonds. The response was overwhelming. Farmers, shopkeepers, and the diaspora all contributed. The dam became a unifying force, transcending ethnic and political divides. Public financing fostered a sense of ownership and pride. Ethiopia declared its right to develop, undeterred by external pressures. After Meles's death, the government pressed on.
So what is that principle? That principle is collective security. Malawi's and use the principle of collective security. You know what I mean? Cooperative development. These are all in the selected speeches family. You know what I mean? Every something is in the selected speeches. So implementation, because one of the things that's missing from these analyses is that all of this is the fruits of Kadamawi Haile Selassie I. It's not by mistake that Ethiopia is leading this development. This is one of the largest development projects on the planet. One of the largest dams on the planet. This is not by mistake that this is not in Zimbabwe, it's not in Indonesia, it's not in such and such and so on and so forth. It's in Ethiopia. This is the legacy of Kadamawi Haile Selassie I. Just to make the item know that. You know what I mean?
Building the dam
The
stone by stone. The G.E.R.D was no longer a dream, it was becoming reality. The people's sacrifice turned vision into action. Ethiopia was determined to shape its own destiny. The G.E.R.D's construction sparked fierce opposition from Egypt and Sudan, who feared for their water security. Egypt, reliant on the Nile, cited colonial-era treaties to claim most of the river's flow. Ethiopia, never a signatory, insisted on its right to use its own resources. Years of negotiations failed to yield a binding agreement. Tensions escalated with international mediation and heated rhetoric. Ethiopia maintained the dam was for power.
So, one of the things that they were saying is that these colonial treaties that Egypt was relying on, Ethiopia was not at the table, and these were done during His Majesty's time, a lot of them, giving Egypt basically control over the Nile. And again, these treaties were done with colonial powers. So the absurdity of telling Ethiopia, a sovereign country, that they can't use their own resources. And this is something, even when you read my book, that reaches back to the Asian monarchs. There was an Ethiopian king that wrote to the Egyptians when they were persecuting Muslims. I think this was like 10th, 11th century, that if we cut off the Nile, we basically will wipe you off of the earth, you know what I mean? So there was always a knowledge from ancient time about the power of Ethiopia, the power of Ethiopia to control the Nile. So this is a very bad nightmare for Egypt, because Egypt depends almost 100% on the Nile. When you look at the map of Egypt, most of Egypt development is along the banks of the Nile. Sudan, of course, Khartoum is where the White Nile and the Blue Nile connect. That's the capital. But most of the Nile's river flow is provided by the Blue Nile, coming from Ethiopia as it goes downstream. So it's a very contentious topic, you know what I mean? I'm going to play a little bit more. Let's big up the content creator here as well. Journey of the Ethiopian Great Dam, Geofacts Africa. Go check them out. Make sure you subscribe to the platform. They have 2,888,000 subscribers. Big them up. All content creators. Again, the internet can be used for folly, but the internet is also a great educational tool. You can just go down an educational rabbit hole and you learn a whole heap. So big up all of the content creators putting out educational material. Let's listen to the last
Power,
piece,
not water
and then
consumption, and could benefit Sudan by regulating floods. Internally, Ethiopia faced protests, political reforms, and corruption scandals that delayed the project. The government had to restore order and get construction back on track. The G.E.R.D's progress was a battle against both internal and external storms. Yet, the vision endured. Ethiopia pressed forward, determined to finish what it started. When Abiy Ahmed became prime minister in 2018, he made completing the G.E.R.D a top priority. His administration tackled corruption and inefficiency, accelerating construction. Abiy reframed the dam as a tool for regional integration, not conflict. In 2020, Ethiopia celebrated the first filling of the reservoir, followed by subsequent fillings each rainy season. These milestones were achieved despite ongoing disputes with Egypt and Sudan. Abiy's government asserted Ethiopia's sovereign right to proceed, while calling for dialogue. The dam's completion in 2025 marked a triumph of vision and perseverance. The final turbine was installed, and the G.E.R.D became a reality. The focus shifted from building to delivering on its promise. Ethiopia stood ready to power its future and the region's. The G.E.R.D is more than infrastructure. It's a symbol of unity and pride for Ethiopia's diverse people. Public contributions made it the People's Dam, fostering a sense of collective ownership. The most immediate impact: electricity for millions who have lived in the dark. The dam's output will light homes, schools, and clinics, transforming daily life. Reliable power will drive industrialization, attract investment, and create jobs. Ethiopia will become a major energy exporter, earning revenue and fostering regional cooperation.
This is what
The G.E.R.D is a
liberation looks
statement
like,
of self-reliance, shattering old narratives of dependency. It proves Ethiopians can mobilize their own resources for world-class projects. The dam's
This was a
success has
promise
instilled
of the
deep national
OAU.
confidence. It's a renaissance, Ethiopia taking control of its destiny.
Legacy.
The G.E.R.D's legacy will be
Adamawi.
measured in opportunity,
Haile
growth,
Selassie
and
the
hope.
first.
It's a beacon for what's possible when a nation unites. Ethiopia's future is brighter, powered by its own resolve. The dam is a promise kept, to this generation and the next. On September 9, 2025, Ethiopia will inaugurate the G.E.R.D, a celebration decades in the making. The event invites not just Ethiopians, but neighbors across the Nile Basin, signaling a new era of cooperation. The dam's completion marks the start of an energy revolution, fueling growth and innovation.
Right.
For ordinary Ethiopians, it means light, opportunity, and a better life. The G.E.R.D's impact will echo across Africa, proving that self-funded, homegrown projects can transform nations. It challenges old narratives and
No
inspires
Chinese
others to
funding
pursue
on
their
this
own
one,
dreams.
family.
The challenge of diplomacy remains, but the hope is for a new era of partnership. Shared water and shared power could bind Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt in mutual benefit. The G.E.R.D, once a dream, is now a reality. Its legacy will be measured in peace and prosperity. Ethiopia's new chapter begins, powered by the river that has always been its lifeblood.
2018 it launched. You know what I mean? So, family, I'm just letting the item know if you're just joining us today. We're talking about the rapid development of Ethiopia, the rapid development of the new flower, Addis Ababa. The next video that we watch is going to talk about the rapid development that's taking place in Addis Ababa. So this is G.E.R.D, which is going to light up East Africa. Think about Niagara Falls, but way bigger than Niagara Falls, which is one of the major, or Hoover Dam. You know, some of these massive projects, G.E.R.D, bigger than that. You know what I mean? So we're witnessing. We are the generation that's witnessing the rising of a sleeping giant. Serious thing. Let me see the comments. Big up yourself, Ram, for the comments. You know, I can see they are very intelligent and very helpful. You know what I mean? Big up the myself. So Ram said other hold on, let me see if I get this earlier. Looks like there's an earlier. Okay, this was assistant. All right, you should peep the Congolese boxer, Zach. Boy, I know what you're talking about. I watch his things in English channel. He's really flossing with the African news update. I watch him. I know what you're talking about, Ram. Ram know what you're talking about. I love it. But I watch him. And I'm going to start featuring more of the African vloggers. We're going to start doing more because, again, Rastafari cannot sit on the sideline. This is, I told you, my lane, you know what I mean, my passion is to be that Rastafari Pan-African connection. That's my lane. I'm staying right there. So You know what I mean? Because again, with all that's happening on the continent, Rastafari cannot be like on the sideline and look around and we're not an active part of this uprising. When we chant for it, we prophesized it, we lived it, you know what I mean? And all of the principles we embody that will make a united Africa prosperous, you know what I mean? So that is why we're here. Big up Johnny Johnson. All these Ethiopian progressive moves, the dam, climate summit, the sixth region of the African Union of the Diaspora, none of this could not happen without the blessings of him, Haile Selassie, the first Shiloh. That's a fact, Johnny Johnson. You know what I mean? And we have to add that because they will write him out of the history. In 1999, I was in Addis Ababa and Shashamani. They weren't using ATM machines, factoid. And look where Addis is now. We're going to look at a video showing Addis today. Other context, Ethiopian Orthodox Talayido Church has several schisms between Egyptian Copts, other nationalities, regions, tribal ethnicities, and rival synods, etc. And of course, you know that His Imperial Majesty is the one that granted the church autocephaly and made the Ethiopian church independent. Russian Wagner mercenaries are still present in Ethiopia, including integration with the Ethiopian National Defense Forces. And Wagner is like the Russian equivalent of BlackRock, which is the private military or private military force all over Africa doing work, but they are also answerable to the Russian government. So again, when I talk about World War III and everybody choosing their sides, some people look at me funny, but when you look deep, you will see the chessboard, how the chessboard is aligning, you know what I mean? Hence, one of the reasons why Trump is vocal on the dam. So Ethiopia, again, is one of the BRICS nations, Russia, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and Ethiopia, along with Egypt, are both now BRICS members. However, Egypt is always been on the Western side. The ruling elite in Egypt are beholden to the G7 side. They get all of their military assistance training. That's starting to change now with what's going on with Israel and everything. The chessboard is shifting. The attack that just happened in Qatar shook up the Arab world. So the Arab world now is leaning more BRIC side. You know, everything is starting to shift. So we got to watch this and see. The message though, we want them to keep them fully out of Africa. You know, Africa, we are not aligned. Okay, yes. Wagner is in African countries protecting government officials and revamping militaries, e.g. Central African Republic, Mali, Sudan. Actually, I think Wagner just left Mali, if I believe. Sudan, Libya, Mozambique, Madagascar, Niger, and Burkina Faso. And in some of these places, it's the Russian army that's officially coming in, and Wagner, you know, so there's an interchange, but Rump is right on time. U.S. has imposed sanctions on gold companies funding Wagner, including in Africa. Rump, no, I'm talk about. U.S. is at war in South Sudan, Yemen, Libya, Syria, Iran, Palestine, and now in Qatar too. That is a fact. Zach Mesakasa is also dropping an Afrobeat album soon too. Maybe you could interview him. If you have the link, Rump, would I love that, you know what I mean? As I say, I'm a fan of the Brethren work. All of the Africans who are content creating and bringing news to that's how I stay in tune. You know, I always big up Wodamaya as an underground man. But you have some African news channels, Pan-African Genius. You have a few platforms that are just bringing you African news from underground, you know, with images and things. It's a beautiful time to be alive. Now tell the family the truth, you know, once you stay plugged in. because we get to witness. You know, we don't have to read the paper, the Negro World or the Crisis, and wait once a month it come out. Every day you can go on YouTube and see the unfolding of this beautiful struggle, you know, this independence that could not be stopped. It was delayed, but it was not stopped. So it's beautiful. All right, so we're gonna look at our final video. Cause you know, Lion Voice Live, we don't belabor the point. Let's look at this final video. All right, this is from Al Jazeera English. Go check them out. This one is a quick one, but it's eye-opening. You know what I mean?
Commander of all she surveys, Addis Ababa is on a nighttime inspection tour of the latest area of Addis Ababa to be transformed. This area was a slum in the center of the city. Now riverside cycle paths cut through manicured lawns.
On one hand, we had to protect the city's heritage and iconic landmarks. On the other, we needed to renew rundown areas, relocate residents, and create new facilities, all of which was extremely difficult. What excites me the most is seeing lives transformed. People who once lived in slum areas are now in clean, safe homes with good facilities.
Daylight reveals the scale of the project. Every corner of this sprawling city of 6 million people has been, is being, or will be remodeled. New parks are built on the flattened informal homes of thousands of city centre residents. Many were given no choice but to move here, a 30-minute drive to a new development on the outskirts of the city. These new flats are better equipped than the shacks, but many here complain of a sense of isolation.
In our original home, we had a good social life because our house was in the city center, where we could easily find everything we needed nearby. Here, we have to rebuild our social life from the beginning.
The home they gave us is better compared to our previous one, but many people here don't have jobs. There's no health center, and we also lack proper transportation. For people like me, stroke patients, diabetics, it costs nearly $30 for a round trip to the nearest hospital. We urgently need a solution to this problem.
Mayor Ababa is unrepentant. She says the redevelopment is...
And it's important to say everything has two sides, you know what I mean? There's no development that's going to happen without people being impacted. And again, His Majesty went through some of the unrest that was taking place in Addis Ababa. Again, there's consequence. His Majesty was developing the cities faster than the countryside. You have people flooding in from the countryside into the cities for opportunity, coming out of poverty. They can't find work. They're unemployed. You can't find work quick enough, you know, to build as fast. That gives unrest. Then you have a foreign force that come in. When these foreign people come in, remember they exploit legitimate grievances. Always going to be grievances, whether it's an organization, whether it's a family, whether it's a tribe, whether it's a clan, there will always be disagreements and grievances. What we cannot do is allow outside influence to come in and divide us when we agree on most everything, and that's what the G.E.R.D dam was about. That's what African unity is about, is in spite of the differences, how do we come together now to raise the standard of living? Let's just seal up this video here.
Of course, in any country, such development projects couldn't be done without difficulties. If we need change, then we should have to make sacrifices. Even we as leaders often work in difficult conditions without sleep, but we're determined to bring transformation to our country.
That Addis is being transformed so quickly is partly due to the fact that this is a city where, if anyone did have any concerns, they keep them to themselves.
US-based Freedom House says Ethiopians are afraid to comment on sensitive subjects because the government cracks down on opposing views. Not much is allowed to get in the way of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's desire to turn this city into a showcase to attract desperately needed foreign investment. Bernard Smith, Al Jazeera, Addis Ababa.
Don't miss out the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights.
All right. So You can see again rapid development in Addis Ababa. We talked to Brother Carl Philpotts about it when he was on. He was just coming forward from Ethiopia and he mentioned it. Again, these are things that are coming up on my timeline. So I said, let me take it to the Lion Pride family so that we don't get it twisted. Because a lot of time we're hearing about the war coming out of Ethiopia. We're hearing about all these things. But again, Africa is rapidly developing. And no matter what they tell you, now is the time. And I advocate to all of my brethren and sisters in the West, go and visit. You know what I mean? Don't take the ancient philosophy that if you go to Africa, you can't return. No. Be wise. Go and visit. Go reconnaissance. Connect with people who are on the ground. Start coming up with a plan. But now is the time to actualize, to invest, to get in because something is happening. Things are shifting. And we, as those who were taken, or descendants of those who are taken, the time has come for us to hear Mama and to answer the call. Mama is calling. And that doesn't mean you have to give up your investments in the West, what you have going on in the West, but it means that expand your fullness, you know what I mean, as a business person, as the opportunity that is in front of us greatly. Some of I will be going there to live, to participate, to reintegrate, to be a part of this grand prophetic uprising, but it's not for everyone, and we're not arguing with people trying to convince people. No, none of that is happening. What we're doing is finding the light minds, and we're building the media apparatus that will document and to tell our story and to ensure, again, that authentic Rastafari is represented in a way that I can be proud of, and the blackness of I can also have that representation within our mainstream, because we will become mainstream by our audience. So we have to represent that group, that blackness of Chad, you know what I mean, from them time to this time. So let me read a couple more comments, and then I gonna seal up. We have bilateral trade between Russia and Ethiopia experienced a remarkable surge in the first half of 2025, reaching US 191.2 million. What you said to me, Grant? You're coming with statistics and facts. The figure represents a 2.2-fold increase compared to the same period in 2024, when trade stood at approximately 86.9 million. And again, these are the quiet things that are happening within the context of BRICS, because both countries are BRICS countries, and BRICS is primarily a trade organization. MSN article, Russia-Ethiopia trade surge, clear opportunities, strategic depth by Dr. Yes. Russia agreed to help the landlocked country rebuild their navy. Okay. So yeah, things are happening. But the key for I is that we, as Rastafari, who traditionally attached to Ethiopia, we made the Lion of Judah flag a global symbol of independence and redemption and Pan-African solidarity. We need to know what's happening in Ethiopia, that despite all of the attempts to tear Ethiopia apart, that Ethiopia is on the rise, Ethiopia is rising, Ethiopia is standing through it all on the foundation laid by Kadamawi Haile Selassie I. And it's our duty to send our eyes to Ethiopia. For those who are there, we have ones on the ground. Big up Mama Askali, mobilizing for the rebuilding of the Nyabingi Tabernacle Center. We have some prime real estate there in Shashamani, Nyabingi Center. So right now, some fundraising is happening. So we want, if you have a link with Mama Askali, please link with her. She's coordinating the fundraising for the tabernacle. and raising funds to send there. They have an itemized list of things that need to get done. So our Rastafari community in Ethiopia, in the same way that the G.E.R.D dam was built outside diaspora strength, pouring in capital, right now what we want to see is some more strategic partnership with our communities on the ground. So even if I and I not planning to immediately go into Ethiopia, we have ones who are there that require capital to move and do the things that they're doing. And we in the West need to be pooling and pouring in that capital to strengthen the ones who are on the ground so that they can actually carry out development projects, and so that Rastafari has a strong presence on the ground in terms of building physical structures, if it's a community center. Big up the Shashamane Development Foundation. We have the school in Shashamane, which has been one of the crowning achievements of the movement. Brother Carl, Brother Roy, Mama Valerie, the GRDC family, so many ones that contribute to that magnificent school. And, we had Brother Carl and Mama Valerie on. We had a beautiful fundraiser here in the DMV where funds were raised, and I attended. So works are going, but we want to use this episode to just plant that seed in the family. Why it's so important that we come together. The G.E.R.D dam is a perfect example. Ethiopia built it without a dollar from outside sources, no World Bank, no IMF, just Ethiopians coming together. That collective security model, as I say, building of Zion is capital intensive. We have to pool our money to build. And that includes Rastafari, independent, non-aligned media. Right now we're hovering around 44 members in the Lion Pride on Patreon. We're going to be having our town hall meeting next Sunday, the 28th. So please join. We need to hit 50 so we can start our grant program. We're going to be granting a small grant to Rastafari creators once we hit 50 in the Patreon, and we're going to be doing a lot of collective work to move capital around, direct capital around. One of the things that I want to use this platform, again, let me just share the vision with the item. Right now we have 54,000 subscribers. If those 54,000 subscribers each directed $10 to this platform or to a guest of this platform, that would be $540,000 that we put to capitalize someone's vision. They can hire staff, they can set their budget for the year comfortably, pay themselves to do the work, because I know enough time I said, boy, I'm a volunteer and I want to get out of that, because volunteer is good, but to sustain something, we need paid staff, and our paid staff should live comfortably. We're coining a term, ital luxury, that means it's not vanity, but people feel live good, comfortable, doing the most I work. What did I never talk about, man? We have to dash away some of these false concepts, that you have to struggle in poverty to be righteous. No. I seek to raise the living standards of I people, from the village to the city, we want to revolutionize the village. We don't want to get rid of the village life. We want to revolutionize it. Ital luxury, meaning solar, nice accommodation. It don't have to be fancy like the city, but it still can be airy with using natural materials, bamboo, all hemp, natural materials, in the village and in the city. So our vision is one of prosperity. So again, let us use Ethiopia as an example what collective security can do. And I'm asking the global family, contribute, become a member of the Lion Pride on Patreon, meet our other Lion Pride on Patreon members. Let us come together in our town hall meetings and let us be the change that we want to see. time to get off the fence. You know, we stop sitting and watching and hoping and dreaming, and let us aggregate the capital and do what we have to do. You know what I mean? And it starts with having a robust Rastafari media apparatus. If you don't like I chat too much or good looking enough, I don't know what the reason why you don't like I, but if you don't want to deal with I, find another Rastafari media platform and support. We have so many brethren and sisters doing powerful media work, but support one of them, you know what I mean? But let us take our mind and just, you know what I mean, start to invest in our liberation. Ethiopia showed it, both the development of Addis Ababa, the dam, all of these things. Ibrahim Traore is showing it, the AES is showing it. They're investing, they're taking the capital from the resources and investing in the people. Right now, our biggest resource as a Rastafari nation globally are our people. So our human resource has to invest the capital. Let us invest the capital in the human resource, and then we scale. We have a proven track record here, over 1,000 pieces of content here on the Lion Voice Network. So we've demonstrated over the last 4 years we're consistent. We've demonstrated the work ethic. So don't feel ashamed to put in your $5, $10 to make the thing become world class. You know what I mean? We should have 10,000 in the Patreon, so that we can step. When Ibrahim Traore is doing a press conference, we should have Lion Voice correspondents there. You know what I mean? That's how we're looking at this thing. All of the African capitals, we have offices, you know what I mean, with correspondents bringing the news from those regions, and the Rastafari people that we're employing, you know what I mean, to bring a Rastafari perspective of a Rastafari, worldview in all of these Pan-African rooms. That's the vision, you know what I mean? And we're going to be employing Rastafari people to do these works, partnering with Rastafari people. So invest in the Rastafari independent, non-aligned media. Let us build. Let us come together. And again, you see we have brand new 4K camera. Give thanks for the patience. We don't quite have the sound dialed in, so I'm a little far away. We're going to work on getting the microphone set up. So the next few episodes, just bear with us as we get the setup. But you see, we're investing. We talk about the camera. We're now starting to implement, do studies, and start implement little things, one here, there, step up the thing. So give thanks to the global family. Okay, Ramp is saying, how can you romanticize Russian colonialism in Africa given what they did to Selassie? I've talked to, let me just say this, I'm not a Russian apologist, you know what I mean? I know the history of Russia, you know what I mean, the Black Christ that they keep within the Orthodox tradition. You know about Alexander Pushkin, who comes from an Ethiopian lineage, the founder of Russian literature, you know what I mean? So they have a little thing in them. But again, and they didn't actively seek colonies on the continent. They stretch back to the Menelik time, but they're still Europeans in my book, you know, Eurasian. So we don't take no side, you know what I mean, in terms of Russia and America. But we cannot deny it. And I've talked to elders who said that Russia had nothing to do. They came in after with the D.E.R.D, but the people who undermined His Majesty didn't come from the Russian side. You know, His Majesty had very good relation with the Russian and Chinese governments at that time. That was a Western takedown. The Russians came in after with the D.E.R.D. The D.E.R.Ds were socialists, yes, Leninists, yes. Pushing that, but in terms of who was backing them, from credible sources, you know, who ones who were there, they say that Russia came in after, you know what I mean? So let's get that straight on the record, according to the information that I have been shared with I from sources. Now, I don't romanticize, but we also have to recognize if you're not going with the G7 block in terms of foreign investment, somebody has to fill the vacuum. And in this case, it's going to be Russia or China. And both of them are investing heavily in Ethiopia. As you say, remember that when the West comes in with their conditions and their strings, these other countries are not coming with the same strings. They're coming straight for the resources, you know what I mean? And they're not as condescending in how they interact with the global South. So they are building their sway on the continent, and there's nothing, we'd be naive because we don't have the satellites and the capabilities to combat. Because once you cut the contract with the West is coming to undermine you. So if you want to counteract that, you have to partner with someone else who can tell you, say, listen, the man, them are send some man, you can see it on the satellite, move, do this, do that. You know what I mean? So you have to partner with someone. That doesn't mean they should not be vigilant. And we've been very clear on this platform, Rastafari, we're not aligned. We're not in the BRICS camp. We're not in the G7 camp. We're in Kadamari, Haile Selassie camp. Why? Because COVID came, the whole earth shut down, BRICS, G7, everybody in a one. Why? Because I feel that they're fighting who will control the new world order. Both of them, I think, are coming with a mark of the beast, full spectrum control policy, where everything digital, they control everybody, drones everywhere. That's what's coming on the earth under these world governments. So we don't take no sides, but we know that the reality, again, building to where Africa can maintain its sovereignty and become its own world power, that we can set our own cultural standard. You got to partner with someone, and right now BRICS has proven to be, you know what I mean, they're coming with better deals on the table. Let's put it that way. They're coming with better deals on the table than what the G7 is offering to Africa. And then G7 is also coming with a radical social thing where they want to bring in the LGBTQ policies and these things as well. So Africa is leaning BRICS, and that's just the reality. So, you know what I mean? We don't have no naivete, my brother Ram, when it come on to Russia and BRICS. But the reality is right now, the deals that are coming are them offer the better deal than in terms of their building infrastructure. They're bringing tangible things to the table while the West is giving us loans and not building anything and putting us in debt and taking everything and giving us crumbs. So, you know what I mean? We got to do that. Hold on. What did I say wrong? Russia was behind the G.E.R.D against Selassie. Okay. All right. Sending the sources. We love them reasoning they're wrong. You know what I mean? This is not a yes man shop. You know what I mean? As I said, cause I used to think that too. I put a lot, but again, I reason with elders who are on the ground, and they said that Russia was not the main, and that's recent. Military assistance and ideological backing, i.e. Russia's involvement in the coup, cannot be ignored. Bring the sources, make we look upon them. Mengistu was a Marxist proxy. Bring the sources, make we look upon them. Because again, I was in that camp, and it's recently an elder who very well connected to a lie. It was not Russia that was the main agitator. Abba Matthias, now Abuna Matthias, patriarch of the Teleido Church, was forced out by the Ferguson to Dallas, Texas, then to Washington, D.C., now Pope in Abyssinia. Factoid, some clergy sold out King Selassie. Yes, they did. Forced out by Cuban, Russian backing and the G.E.R.D. Okay. I think we went to that already. But what if they did assassinate him? Then why would you do business with them? No one assassinated him. And I hold on on that. And again, geopolitics dictates that you have to do the deal with who's at the table. It's mindset that did business with both parties, knowing their proclivity for treachery. You know what I mean? Documented in his own autobiography how the British tried to take over Ethiopia. We deal with no emotion. We look at the practical, you know what I mean, benefits and what's on the table at the time, and we move accordingly. The Nile River is the only river in the world that flows from south to north. Both the Nile and the Blue Nile, Burundi claims the source of the White Nile. Okay. I like all the things. The article on historical journal has a plethora of sources on the subject. Okay. I haven't viewed it in a while. As I said, a lot of this, because I'm getting ready for volume 2 of Haile Selassie's Ethiopia, my book here. I'm more in the early. A lot of that, my research about their time, I did as a younger Ras. And again, this recently reasoning with Ethiopian elders who were present at that time, and who were, have access to information. They say that the Ethiopian, that coup, the main backers was not Russia. Russia was there, of course, and of course the Marxist ideology was there, but they said it was not Russia funding the student movements. I remember the BBC, all of that was the one doing the propaganda campaign. So if anything, it was both of them that took counsel against His Majesty, fighting for power, Cold War power, to get him out. It wasn't just one or the other side, because we can't. The propaganda campaign was certainly led by the West, you know what I mean? But yeah, we look at all of these things, and again, His Majesty know the duplicity of these outsiders, but still work with them. Once they're providing tangible benefits, is the people have the power, and we, if we refuse to be manipulated, that's the only sure defense from outside intervention. So that's how we're there. But give thanks for the eye, Ram, the sister, the eye, well read, well researched. We love that. You know what I mean? Again, Lion Voice is not a yes man academy. We have disagreeing viewpoints. We're willing to concede where we learn new information. That's how you build a stronger vibration. You know what I mean? If you're always right and you can't change, you're not going anywhere. You know what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with accepting new information. I modify my information because, again, I reasoned with an elder who was close to the whole situation, who shared with I, who was the prime mover. So we go with that, because we know a lot of time when academic papers are being written and things, yeah, you're going to look at it from the outside, but it's a different thing when you talk to a man who was there, who was in the inside, who knew this, that. And, you know what I mean? That is what I'm going off of. I'm not going to cite my source. I don't know if the elder want the public with vibes, you know what I mean? But that was definitely the position Ayman held, looking at the DERG, knowing that they were communists. I held that it was the nation set council, and came together and for different reasons. And I'm easily revert forward to that. And it's probably a little bit of that. But in terms of the prime mover, to say who was removing His Majesty, I tend to lean to it was the West that put the gears in motion. Why? Because the pattern and the history, you know what I mean, and the geopolitics of the time all point in that direction. So it's something that we'll do more. I'm trying to reason with another elder who was in Addis at the time in 1974, during that whole period of Rastafari elder. So hopefully we'll have him on, get his account on how he feels. So this is definitely a topic that we're going to talk about. But again, if you're just joining us today, we're talking about the rapid development of Ethiopia and why it's so important that I keep our eye on Ethiopia, and just marveling at the legacy of Ethiopia. We can remember a lot of Pan-Africanists, Kwasi's Majesty, but now look at where we are. These are the children of Kadamawi Haile Selassie I. The principles, the collective security, or the funding of one of the biggest infrastructure projects in African history. These are the youths, the children of the children, educated by His Majesty, carrying on the legacy, building the dam in a place that His Majesty surveyed. The plans were there in the archive, put on and laid down already. The vision outlined. A good leader sometimes doesn't see with his own eyes the manifestation of the work, but he does. He lays the foundation, and prophecy said that the highest of himself shall establish I and I. You know what I mean? So big up to Kadamawi Haile Selassie I, the first, the Almighty. You know what I mean? Yes. Perfect love, Ramp. And I hope to see the eye more often in the comments. I love the attribution. You add a nice vibe with Johnny Johnson, Ross Roots, some of our regular commenters, Sister Emmanuel, I don't see her today. Some of our regular commenters, but the eye is welcome. It's the first time I'm noticing the eye, but the eye is welcome to be part of this uprising. Again, family, we're going to cut it there. Rapid development happening in Ethiopia. Join the Lion Pride on Patreon. We are getting ready. The town hall meeting flyer will drop probably tomorrow, September 28th. We're having our town hall. Next strong is also the IDOR study group. We'll be posting the link in the Patreon as well for the IDOR study group. IDOR is launching its new website. We have a whole heap of things coming, family. Again, Rastafari is not going to sit idly by. Also, let me just take time and big up Dark Foundation on the mighty banquet that they had at House of Dread in Jamaica for the Yashima Bed Foundation, offering care for the Asians. Powerful work happening. We'll see if we can get someone on the program who can talk about that mighty works. Again, Rastafari is on the move, on the rise. Weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah has prevailed to open the book and to loose the seven seals thereof. We're in that time. Glory, honor, the majesty. Wake up, Ethiopians. The time is now. Put into action your plan. Join with the like-minded brethren and sistren. But act now. Why? Because the time has come for the lions to tell our own story. And this is the Lion's Voice.
High school on green, royal we culture we clean. If you straighten up something that them lean with transparency from the agency of the I Supreme. Cosmic intuition and initiation from within. I'm another angel and on a wing like pigeon. Concept I accept of I origin, representing free-minded article reaching. Man without a woman is like a house without kitchen. People without them roots is like plants for edging. Everything perish without oxygen. Them a vibration, them a waves, and them a sound palm rhythm. Hey, time for the lions. Tell them one story. Listen to the lion voice, yeah. Up.
What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it takes the dust. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Ketis Oyonde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the lion's voice.
Yeah, man. Greetings, Rastafari, Haile Emperor the King Selassie the first, the perfect balance Empress meaning. This is first man for Rastafari Indigenous Village, recognizing, accepting, promoting lion voice. Yes, the voice of Rastafari, speaking about Rastafari, educating Rastafari, preserving, protecting Rastafari. Give thanks.
Aye, Rastafari, mighty.
Fittest of the fittest shall survive. My people, open your eyes. Wake up. Blessed love, this is Queen Omega representing for all lions and lionesses. With the lion's voice, we come to tell our story. Rastafari, live it. Hey, the lion's voice. Rastafari.
Yes, job people, this is Michael Shamai representing. I will say, hear the lion voice, saying it is time for the lions and the lionesses to tell their own story. King David killed Goliath with a stone, we original dread.
I will never stop, hail the Most High, and I will never stop, call Rastafari. Blessed love, this is Kushite representing for the Lion's Voice. We are here to tell our own story, Rastafari.
Blessed love, this is Rashala representing for the Lion's Voice, saying, yeah man, keep it locked right here, sir. On to Zion we go, Lion voice don't move slow, no. Rastafari rules and reigns, and we're going where the blessings flow. Keep it locked right here, sir, saying, Rashala said that, Lion's Voice.
Amina, the time has come for the lioness to tell our own story. No surrender, no retreat, we are Jaja soldier. Rougher than the streets, tougher than a boulder.